Welcome back to the Locker Room Lingo podcast. This is episode 2. We are your hosts, Dylan, Matthew, and Luca. And in this episode, we're going to break down the NFL Championship weekend games and their outcomes, and then get into some Super Bowl predictions, talk about the Royal Rumble, some Blue Jays news, and maybe some new Pro Bowl selections. So, what are you guys' thoughts on this past weekend of football?
I actually have a few thoughts and key things that I want to point out that I kind of learned from the weekend. I learned a couple of things. I learned that Brock Purdy is the reincarnation of Tom Brady. If you don't like that, then step aside.
Well, let's establish this man as a 49ers fan, so he's extremely biased. But
And I learned that Lamar Jackson is a fraud. That's what I learned. So. Okay,
I'm
the
49ers game first, or
let's cover the. I think let's go in order.
Yeah, we'll get to the Brock Purdy legacy game after.
So Kansas City game first.
Yeah, we'll go Chiefs Ravens.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that was a disappointment of a game. That was just, I think, so we touched on it last week. We just did not want a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. We're sick of the Chiefs winning. We're sick of seeing all the supporting cast around Mahomes, and Jackson Mahomes, his wife, and especially Taylor Swift. Not that we don't like her, but it's just, God, stop showing her.
We don't like her.
Oh.
No. You can't say that. There's Swifties watching this podcast just in case.
Okay, she's got some bangers. Let's just establish that first, okay?
Yeah, I'm a Swiftie, okay?
Yeah.
But I mean, at a certain point, the line's gonna be drawn.
But
it's gotten to that point.
Yeah, I'll go to Apple Music to watch Taylor Swift and listen to Taylor Swift, not NFL games.
I mean, she might not even make it. Apparently. Well, I mean,
yeah,
a lot of people are talking about it.
I saw that.
The betting is insane.
She's got,
But anyways, what's
we're not talking about Taylor Swift right now.
No, well, that's a separate podcast. We'll talk about it after the Super Bowl for sure if she shows up. But I mean, I'll start
come check our music podcast where we cover all the hottest artists.
Yeah,
our Taylor Swift podcast.
Yeah, we got Taylor Swift / Kanye debates. But I mean, Matthew, you want to start with your thoughts on the Chiefs Ravens game?
Yeah. I've never seen a player go from a hero to a villain on a team so quickly like Flowers did. Flowers was having an absolute crazy game.
Yeah.
Right before he fumbles right on a goal. I've never seen someone get so close to scoring a touchdown and just getting it knocked away so fast. Like it was hard to watch.
High stake of a moment.
I know, like on that stage to make it to the Super Bowl, he just went downhill so quickly, and then he injures his hand on the bench, in frustration. Like that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think it was odd because he just tried playing the hero. He wanted to get the touchdown to be the hero of the team, right? When he knows not only is he a smaller receiver, but you got 3 guys coming at you. It's a high intense playoff game. You just gotta go down. People stay out too much to play hero in the playoffs. You just got to go down. You have the Gus bus waiting, ready to roll. Yeah. Engine is going. You go down the 1-yard line, the Gus bus is rolling into town. I mean, 10 times out of 10. So I think it's a silly move on his part to reach into the end zone. I mean, no need to reach in. And obviously a big move by L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, what an absolute play by him. I mean, won the game.
Play. It's more of a respect to the defense than it is against Flowers, to be honest. But, it's not even just go down. Just go in as just run in. Don't try to break the tackle. Don't just dive,
Yeah.
He was so close. If he just used some force with that speed, he probably could have got in. Or at least on the 1-yard line. And also, you didn't even mention, Matthew, the taunting call. That's what started the whole thing.
That's
it's
true.
just
a bunch of rookie mistakes.
Right there. You got taunting. Literally, yeah. I mean, he's a rookie, so I mean, taunting. Great, makes the great catch. Taunting brings it back 15 yards. And then gets another catch, about to get the touchdown, gets it knocked out, changes the tide of the game, and then goes on the bench and injures himself. It was brutal.
The whole game, it wasn't his fault that they lost.
No,
I'm not
it was
saying that, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
yeah. Let's
rookie
just talk
mistakes.
about,
I mean, listen.
What were you gonna say?
He had a poor move there and some rookie mistakes on that drive, but let's not mistake this. I was obviously joking. I said Lamar's a fraud, but Lamar Jackson has a real problem with big games, and I think it's become abundantly clear. I mean, you have an MVP season. You have one of the best records. I think you had the best record in the NFL, if I'm mistaken. And you go in the playoffs. You dominate the Texans. You're showing you're the team to beat, right? You beat the 49ers already by a landslide, so you've already proven that you're better than that team. right? You beat the Lions, too, by also a landslide by 30 points, I think. So you've proven you can beat both those NFC teams. So, hypothetically speaking, the Ravens should have beat both those teams and should have beat the Chiefs. However, Lamar Jackson, the biggest game of his career, is the first time he ever made the conference championship, and he sold. I mean, he did nothing. He threw a bad interception, obviously. He didn't get anything going on offense. The Chiefs stopped him in the run. He couldn't run very much. I just think Lamar Jackson's got some issues with actually coming out clutch and winning games in the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I said that in the last podcast.
Just,
yeah. Sorry, what were you saying?
And it's like Flowers is you can't blame Flowers because none of the other receivers stepped up. So yeah, he messed up on the plays he made, but he was the only one making plays. No one else was able to do anything, and Lamar was not able to connect. Like Odell, Luke, I remember we were watching the game, or no, I think in the group chat, Odell gets like one catch in the fourth quarter and just like looks over the guy.
He starts bossing up, like hitting his chest. Like, what are you doing, man?
Like you guys.
I was thinking that. I was thinking of the whole game. I was like, where's Odell?
Yeah, it was just a collapse of the offense. The defense shut out the Chiefs in the second half, if I remember correctly. I think the Chiefs didn't score. They finished with 17 points, I think, right? And they got all that in the first half. Defense shut them out, give the offense so many opportunities, and the Ravens could not capitalize whatsoever. Mark Andrews non-existent. Isaiah Likely couldn't do much, but it all comes down to Lamar. He didn't use his legs at the end of the day.
And I think the problem still persists with Lamar Jackson, in the sense that when he's got to make throws in big games. I'm not saying Lamar Jackson can't pass. I mean, that was the belief everyone had at one point. He proved this season that if he had to pass, he can do it, right? He passed a lot this season for a lot of yards, and I think he had like 24 touchdowns passing. So he's proven that. But in the playoffs, when his legs were cut off, basically, the Chiefs stopped the run. He couldn't escape the pocket anymore and run away. And because of that, he couldn't make the big throws that were needed. It's not that receivers were locked down the entire game. Lamar just couldn't hit them. There's a lot of bad passes I was watching, and I was like, what's going on with this guy?
Yeah, it was not the Lamar we saw all season. And it's just, I don't know, like, Lamar obviously he'll win the MVP, and it'll be a second-time MVP. He's a great player. But I just haven't really, I don't know, watching him, I haven't bought that, like, he's on that Mahomes level. He's on that, like people are talking about being in the Hall of Fame already. And obviously he's changed the game and stuff like that, and will be a two-time MVP. But I just haven't seen him as that, like, in the same conversation as Mahomes as a lot of other people do. I say that as a person who's had him 2 years in fantasy, and he just failed me both times. It's super inconsistent. So I know that's not a real way to judge his playable ability, but it's just he's got a great team around him. He's got great defense. It took him a while, I feel like, to start throwing it accurately downfield, and he still messes up. I mean, they lost to I think when you say clutch moments, I know they're not that stressed when it comes to the Steelers, but in those, divisional rivalries, they lost to the Steelers this year. They lost to the Browns. So I don't know if the pressure gets them sometimes, or if he just, I don't know what it was. I mean, the Chiefs are no joke, so you can't,
Yeah, they have a bright future.
I do think
they have a very good team.
Yeah, I do think it's got to be noted with the Ravens that they have a very young defense. I mean, Kyle Hamilton is an absolute dog, and obviously he's going to be there for 8+ seasons minimum. He's a rookie, right? So you have these young cornerstone pieces, Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers, right? Like all these great young running backs, even Keaton Mitchell. I mean, J.K. Dobbins, he's just been all over the board, injured all 3 years. Yeah. But I mean, despite all that, could he make a comeback? Who knows, right? They got a very young team. But Lamar Jackson has to prove to everyone he can win big games before I even consider him on the level of Mahomes, Joe Burrow, or Aaron Rodgers, for example. Any of those big names that we talk about, winning games. Not like Aaron Rodgers is a big game winner, but you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. So you heard Burrow over Lamar right now?
I would take Burrow and Mahomes over Lamar, and I think it's tough to say Josh Allen, because obviously he's proven he can't win big games. It's tough to take Herbert because he's had no good team really around him his entire career. Again, like I said, it's tough to take a guy like Aaron Rodgers because he was injured this year, and again, he can't win big games. So you have a lot of guys who are in the same kind of boat. Dak Prescott, can't win big games.
I would take Josh Allen
so
over
good.
Yeah,
I would take Josh Allen.
I would take Josh Allen.
Because if Josh Allen had that defense, it wasn't his, it's the defense that fails him every year. Like, he gets the points, and the defense collapses.
Yeah, 100%. But it's still in the same boat that a quarterback, no matter what, does what he has to do. If you're a winning quarterback, you do what you have to do. And I think even Tom Brady's a great example of a guy who had seasons with no one, right? And he'd get in there and do what he had to do. He may have had to put up an extra 2 touchdowns because the defense was weak, but he did it anyways, right? So that's the different level here of a great quarterback and a good quarterback. Patrick Mahomes has Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Rashee Rice as 2 receivers, and he's in a Super Bowl right now. And the defense is better for sure, but the Chiefs' defense is not, 49ers Ravens level. So it's not like they're the best defense in the NFL, right? So I think while Josh Allen has done what he had to do himself, no matter what, there's always more he can do to win games.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
We're getting another Mahomes Super Bowl.
Yeah,
everyone's so happy.
A big rematch.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is a 2020 rematch. Was that in 2020?
Yeah, was it the COVID
Yes,
Bowl?
2020.
Yeah.
Yes. No. It was before COVID started.
Sure.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. Because it must have been.
Yeah, no, COVID wasn't a thing at that point.
Yeah.
Can the 49ers beat them this time, is the question.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much said everything we need to say about the Chiefs and Ravens. Congrats to the Chiefs. Congrats to the Chiefs fans out there. We hate your team, but we do respect them. So,
I respect greatness. I respect greatness.
Yeah.
Despite that.
You have to respect.
Yeah, I hate Mahomes, but I respect greatness because he does whatever he has to do to win games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Patriots fan, so Brady's my god. He's my hero. Right? I will die on that hill. Yeah,
my god.
On that hill. Yeah, he's my god. I played him every night. And people are starting to. You think if Mahomes wins the Super Bowl, right? Do you see him? People are starting to say he gets past Brady.
Let me interrupt. If Mahomes wins the Super Bowl, he is the second best quarterback of all time. That's it.
It's not ridiculous to say that. It's not ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous
I think if he wins this Super Bowl, not only is he in the Joe Montana Tom Brady bracket, I think he passes Joe Montana. That's coming from a 49ers fan. Listen, I never watched Joe Montana, but I know the greatness that Joe Montana was. Patrick Mahomes, if he wins the Super Bowl, will now have in his first 6 seasons 3 Super Bowl rings with 4 appearances, right? Mm-hmm. And 2 MVPs. That is unheard of stuff. Joe Montana only had 2 MVPs his entire career, and that spanned over a decade plus, right? Tom Brady only had 2 MVPs in his 20-year career, right? So for him to do what he's done already, if he wins the Super Bowl, I don't think it's even a debate that he's number 2 all time.
Yeah.
And he's doing this without like good receivers. I mean, he has Rashee Rice and Marcus Valdez-Scantling and Kelsey.
Yeah.
I mean, taking them to the Super Bowl is very impressive.
Yeah, there's 2 men out there who are the reason Mahomes hasn't been to Super Bowl more, and that's Joe Burrow and Tom Brady, who Mahomes is 0-2 against. Brady literally came out of retirement just to, he went to the Bucs, but basically came out of a dying kind of career there and in New England, came back just to prove he's still the GOAT, win the Super Bowl against Mahomes. I just don't see Mahomes, when your team is facing Mahomes and Mahomes got 1 drive left in the game to win the game, you're scared because you know what he's capable of. That is similar to Brady, but his demeanor and his attitude, he doesn't have the same greatness as Brady to me yet. He's still young, but it's just, I think, skill wise, he's better. I don't think that's a debate.
Yeah, he's more talented than Brady for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
But greatness-wise, we'll have to see. But yeah, anyways, I think people are sick of hearing about the Chiefs. I'm sick of talking about the Chiefs. Let's move on to the 49ers-Lions game that, Luca, you were very happy about, obviously.
I mean, it was like the 4 stages of grief, or 5 stages of grief, sorry, that entire game. I can't even explain to you what I was going through start to finish in that game because it was like you'd think I had bipolar disorder. It was just an absolute colorful game to watch with your eyes. That's all I can say.
I mean, it was from a 49ers perspective. Yeah, it was. It was a great comeback.
But from everyone else's perspective,
I think for everyone else's perspective, I mean, why aren't you happy seeing greatness live? That's what I understand.
I am happy for Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
I'm happy for him. That's it.
I'm joking around, obviously, when I say he's this great, Tom Brady-like character. But I think it has to be noted for Brock Purdy what he did on Sunday. I mean, not only did he come back from a 17-point deficit, which is already crazy for the playoffs. I think it's one of the only times it's ever been done. Not only did he do that and then obviously win the game with his legs, rushing for 60 yards in that second half, as well as making plays with his arm, but he kind of proved everyone wrong, I think, to a certain degree. I think there's always been the naysayers still with Brock Purdy, but I think what he did on Sunday, I mean, that should be enough to put a period on the system quarterback debate.
I mean, so we kind of had this conversation over text and stuff. What quarterbacks are you still taking over Brock Purdy? Where do you draw the line?
All right, where did I draw a line on Brock Purdy? So obviously, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes. We've been over that, and we just talked about him being the second greatest quarterback of all time, right? So Mahomes, obviously, no debate. Josh Allen, same thing. I mean, this guy is insane. I would still take Lamar Jackson over Brock Purdy, obviously. I mean,
obviously,
obvious, right? I mean, Joe Burrow, I'm still taking him over Brock Purdy. I would take Herbert over Brock Purdy as well.
Yep.
I would also take C.J. Stroud over Brock Purdy.
Yep.
And I would take Jordan Love for Brock Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
And I would listen to argument for Matthew Stafford over Brock Purdy.
I think Stafford,
I think you could very well say Stafford over Purdy. But other than that, I don't think you're taking anyone over Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy is easily a top 10 quarterback, maybe even top 8 quarterback, if you can justify the argument a little enough. But yeah, that's my list of quarterbacks.
There's like 3 or 4 guys I think you could switch in between with Purdy that I would take over. I think, like I said, I'm not necessarily saying I would take Dak and Goff over him, but I just think that they would be producing the same results. At least Goff would. I think Goff is more clutch than Dak. But there's just, I don't know. Dak is very talented. He's not clutch, but it's a different situation, obviously, of being on the 49ers, being on the Cowboys. Not that the Cowboys don't have a great team, but it's just there's just an aura. It's like the Leafs every year, right? It's just like the pressure in the playoffs is there every year. Purdy doesn't have the same kind of pressure on him. Second year all he has is stuff to prove, right? Like
I would make the argument that Brock Purdy has just as much pressure as Dak does. And definitely more pressure than Jared Goff, and that should be. Yeah,
Goff doesn't have pressure because anything the Lions succeed in is just like a W. So,
we went over the fact that Brock Purdy was a cool underdog story that everyone loved, and the second Brock Purdy started doing all these great things, everyone started to turn on him, right? He's a system quarterback. He's just a product of Kyle Shanahan and that offense, and that's all everyone's been saying. Now Brock Purdy's playing with that. That's all everyone's talking about him in the media. So he's looking at this and then going to play a football game. I mean, this guy's all this pressure to prove he's that guy, right? And I said this over text to you. Yeah, I said this over text to you, and I said a quarterback isn't judged by just their individual stats. You want to go stat for stat, Brock Purdy, Jared Goff, and Dak Prescott. It's literally the exact same stats, all of them, right? So we know that they all do the same thing on the 49ers. It'd be the exact same thing, right? No one's getting any more touchdowns. No one's getting any more yards. It's the exact same stats on the 49ers. Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you put Goff or Dak on the 49ers, it's going to be the exact same stats that Brock Purdy put up, right? Just because that's how they're going to run the system, it'd be the same scenario, right?
I think Dak and Goff have a better arm, though, right? As far as going downfield.
But where the line is drawn is obviously clutch moments and playing from behind. And Brock Purdy has shown in 2 playoff games that he can play from behind and he can win the game and come back, right? He had a game-winning drive against the Packers, and obviously he had multiple magnificent drives against the Lions, right? So that's why I would take Dak. I take Brock over Dak and Goff because he's proven he can come back and win, and they haven't.
Yeah, and then I mentioned besides Dak and Goff, I think there's still an argument for Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, I didn't see him play this year. I think Aaron Rodgers would be winning a Super Bowl with the 49ers, no question. And I think, I don't know if this would be a controversial take, but I think underrated quarterback is Kirk Cousins.
That's not a bad take.
I think Kirk Cousins has a great arm. He's maybe not, he has had some pretty clutch moments. I mean, remember that comeback against the Colts?
I mean, a regular season game.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, he hasn't been able to really prove. I mean, no, last year they lost in the first round. But
yeah, I don't know about Kirk Cousins. I think the pressure gets to some guys, and I think Kirk Cousins, while he's great solid quarterback. The pressure, I don't think he can handle it the way Brock.
Yeah,
Purdy
he's
can.
infamously
Brock
bad
Purdy's
on
poised.
primetime games, so a playoff game is just brutal.
Brock is poised, right? And you even look at, I don't know if you saw an Instagram clip of George Kittle. And he's like on the sideline, and he's like, I can't wait to say that meme. You know the meme where like, the Hats in the first half? And he said at the end of the game, obviously, the Hats in the first half, not going to lie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was walking around the bench telling guys that. He goes to Brock Purdy, and he says a joke to him. And Brock Purdy just stands there, and like he stands there unfazed. Actually, he just stands there. He doesn't even acknowledge what George Kittle said. He just ignores him. And I think, despite that just being some small kind of video, it shows that he was locked in. Like he was gonna win the game. He knew what he had to do, and what he had to overcome, and he was willing to do it. Yeah. And I think that's a sign of a guy who's gonna be an absolute standalone quarterback in this league for years to come.
Well, anyways, we'll go back to the game. Matthew, what were your thoughts on it? As far as the Lions choke, I mean, we watched it together, and we couldn't believe what we were watching.
I know. I was very disappointed in the result, but it was a very entertaining game. I think Dan Campbell made a few questionable decisions. I'm not placing the whole they didn't lose the game because of Dan Campbell. He said he stands by what he did, especially on that 4th down decision, going for it. I think on 4th and 3 or 4th and 2, in field goal range. They choose to go for it
twice.
And they don't make it, and that is a turning point in the game, in my opinion. I think if they kicked the field goal, they would have been in a better headspace. That's kind of the deflating feeling at that point in the game.
I think people are really dissing for both the calls, right? I think going for it on the first 4th and down was absolutely silly, because at that time the 49ers, and Kyle Shanahan even said this, out of the half, the 49ers needed a touchdown. They needed to take momentum in the second half, and they didn't. They got a field goal, right? So the Niners still didn't have all this momentum. They're still struggling, right? They couldn't get the touchdown. Yeah. And if Dan Campbell kicks that field goal, it basically erases the field goal the Niners had, right? Mm-hmm. So it's still basically a 17-point lead in the third quarter. So all the momentum is still on your side. But by going for it on 4th down and not getting it, the Niners have this huge momentum shift where they believe they can win this game now, right? Yeah. Stopping someone on 4th down will give you that momentum, and from that point on, the Niners were rolling because they had that momentum, and that's what football is. It's a momentum-based game. Yeah. Going for it on the second 4th down, I don't even blame Dan Campbell, because the Niners' offense was rolling so hard and so fast at them, they couldn't stop them. I think keep it out of that team's hands. Let's go for it and try and get a touchdown here. I don't blame the second one, but I do think the first one is silly.
Well, I just think that, like you were saying, I think that the 49ers come out after the half. They get the 3 points, right? They want, like you said, they needed a touchdown, get the 3 points. So that's not like a yippee, you know. Like the 49ers aren't going back to the bench being like, let's go, you know. They're just barely satisfied.
They're still
they
locked
know they're
in.
Still in trouble. Yeah, they know they're still in trouble. This is not like the outcome they wanted. So for your Detroit offense to come back, because Dan Campbell talks about being aggressive, right? So for your offense to come back and then match their 3 points would be such a deflating feeling for the 49ers. But he decided, he has like this skewed vision of what aggressive means in football. It doesn't mean going and getting a touchdown. It means, that could just mean putting points on the board in an important game. And matching that 3 points that already was a little bit deflating for the 49ers, and just matching it, making it completely irrelevant, would be I think, might have been the nail in the coffin for their confidence. And then that would allow that later in the game, the extra, the fourth quarter field goal, that would have been the nail in the coffin if he had taken it. So I think it was a complete botched call there. I think that is one of the, I'd say, worst calls to go for. And he's saying, I have faith in my guys. Well, you obviously don't have faith in your kicker or your defense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't blame for the
no
defense.
Faith in the defense. The defense is terrible. I don't blame him. But, no faith in the kicker is crazy. He is a bad kicker, to be fair. Badgley is historically a bad kicker.
Yeah, but this season he's been pretty good. And 48 yards, I know it's under pressure. You're in a dome.
I'm pretty sure. No, it wasn't a dome. It was outside.
Was it? Oh, yeah, it was 49. Sorry. I thought they were in Detroit.
I'm pretty sure that Badgley from 40-plus yards has struggled this year. I'll have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure there's some wild kind of stat behind it that he was 9 for 15 this season from there.
Yeah, but
So
that stage of the game and that kind of game, like an important game, you just kind of trust your kicker. I think in that situation.
Yeah, I think especially in third quarter.
Yeah.
Just to nail, just to get the points. Just take the points. Like, that's aggression. Putting points on the board is aggression, not taking. Like, he's a gambling addict. I think he loves the thrill of, like, being able to say he took the ballsy call because he's a ballsy coach, and that's the way he plays. So that's his philosophy, and he doesn't look like he's going to change it, but
all right,
I think if he comes back, he's going to change it.
I have the stat.
Let's hear it.
So the Lions were 15 for 20 at converting at 4th and 3
Mm-hmm.
or fewer in the regular season, and they were 2 for 2 in the postseason, in the wild card and divisional.
Mm.
Michael Badgley was 9 for 20, which is a 45%, in his career from 48-plus yards, which is worst among high-volume kickers in the NFL. So I think to a certain degree we can justify Dan Campbell's mindset, but against the 49ers on the road in a playoff game, I do think you take that first field goal.
What was the third quarter? What was it? Wasn't 48 yards, was it? That was the fourth quarter. What was the third quarter field goal?
It was. I think it was 45 yards still.
Okay, but yeah, the other one was 48. Yeah, I just think the first one's pretty egregious.
I mean, it's easy to say now that it's a bad call.
Yeah,
because
but
they didn't convert.
The stats. I mean, it feels.
And I also want to note that Raymond literally dropped the ball. Like he was wide open. He dropped it. Like if he catches that ball, Dan Campbell's a hero, right?
Yeah.
On the first one.
Yeah.
But that was Reynolds, right? Josh Reynolds.
Josh Reynolds. Sorry.
Well, yeah. Then the last one was just like the play was blown up. Like Goff couldn't get the ball on run. He was on the run. Yeah, I don't know. It was a great game. It really showed. I think the not silver lining, but the highlight of the game and the big story to take away is Brock Purdy and being able to put together that comeback. Kyle Shanahan as well, just that coaching. I think the 49ers, I mean, after coming over these two adversities with the Packers and now the Lions, those two comebacks, it's going to be hard for the Chiefs to beat them, I think, because the Chiefs aren't safe from any point differential.
There's also a bad call running it on the goal line.
That was
I was gonna note that.
Yeah.
I was gonna note that. That was a little silly, I think, because Kyle Shanahan, that entire drive, he was literally he was borderline allowing them to get points, right? He was allowing them to get yards, keep them inbounds, wasting time, right? He knew they're gonna score a touchdown, right? And all he wanted to do was burn one timeout, and Dan Campbell fell for it. And I think that's just stupid, to say the least, to even fall for that kind of trick. Just keep passing, right? Because if you're incomplete, the clock stops.
Well,
right?
that was the offensive coordinator.
You have a touchdown. Yeah, Ben Johnson, who, speaking of which, said today that he's not signing with the Commanders and will stay with Detroit. So they keep their OC.
Yeah, that was brutal because, they had. I think they are one of the best red zone offenses in the league, are they not?
They are.
So, obviously, I mean, that includes running, but, like, just running it up with Montgomery into the stacked D-line that is 49ers doesn't seem the best play, you know. Was that third down, too? I think it was.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, because they ended up scoring a touchdown, but, like, it was scary. It was a scary play. It was a good catch. I forget who caught it, but it was a good catch.
I have the red zone stats actually. The Niners are 1 and Detroit is 2, so they're the second best red zone team, and they're facing the team that is the best. So like technically they were the best left.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, do you guys have any other thoughts on the game or on that game specifically? Anything else to say?
Yeah, nothing really else to say.
I don't think so.
Brock is the GOAT.
Well, I think
that's
then,
that's if you're listening to this podcast right now, the one takeaway you get from this is that Brock Purdy is the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
Now to the Super Bowl.
And Lions fans, we were rooting for you, but you guys should be happy. You guys did great. 2 seasons ago, you guys were a 3-win team, so this is a huge accomplishment, and you got a bright future. But I think we should last week we did talk about Super Bowl predictions. We talked mostly about Ravens 49ers because we thought the Ravens would win, but they did not. So, what's your pick? Chiefs or 49ers? And no bias, obviously.
I'll say Chiefs.
You say Chiefs.
Wow, Matthew's been riding the Chiefs wave. You actually said Chiefs
You
last
said
week.
Chiefs last week.
Right.
Ravens.
You have been.
He got that right.
Betting
Actually,
on
Matthew
Mahomes.
was 2 for 2.
I am.
You should have bet, man. That was 2 for 2 is incredible.
I should have.
You should have put the whole rent down on it.
Yeah, I should have. And I think they'll win again. Like, I mean, it's Patrick Mahomes. Like I said last week, Patrick Mahomes will just find a way to do it. Even against the 49ers.
That is the main fear for 49ers fans, and the main reason why this could go very south. Listen, Patrick Mahomes, as we just stated multiple times, is a borderline top 3 quarterback of all time. If you think he's not going to find a way to win this game, then you're silly. The Niners are, without a doubt, the better team on paper, okay? They have better offensive weapons. They have a better, actually, technically this season, George Kittle was a better tight end than Travis Kelce. They have a better O-line. They have a better defense, a better pass rush. They have everything better except for quarterback, right? So you
sounds
look
a lot
at
like
that,
the Ravens.
Yeah, and you look at that and you say, they should win this game. But here's what we learned with the Lions and Packers, and I think Andy Reid is going to see this. Pacheco is a very good running back. I'd say he's a top 10 running back if we can agree, right? And he's a hard runner. If the Chiefs can once again establish the run, like the Packers and Lions did, the Lions were running down the Niners' throat. Packers ran down their throat. The Niners this season didn't allow a single 100-yard rusher, and they've allowed 2 in back-to-back playoff games. If Pacheco can get going on the ground, and you give Mahomes this opportunity in play action and in the shotgun, it could go very south very quickly, and that's coming from a 49ers fan.
The Niners.
However,
sorry, what were you gonna say?
Yeah. However, I was gonna say the Niners have all this momentum, and now 2 weeks to plan how they're gonna stop Mahomes, and that's really the only threat on that team. I think the Niners should still win this game, and if I'm betting money, I'm betting on the 49ers.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about the run defense. I heard them say this in the Packers and the Lions game, the commentators, about how, they had a great, run defense, but it's not as good as everyone thinks. It's more middle of the pack as far as when you look at the stats. But it's just that teams do not run against them as much, I think, compared to other teams. So that's why when you look at the stats of how much runs they allow, there's not as many as other teams. But when they are heavily run on, they do let up a lot of yards. So I think people's perception of that, they have some big names on there, obviously, but they're not like a shutdown run defense like the Lions were for most of the season, at least.
And even last week they were. I mean, McCaffrey got 80 yards against them, which is, for McCaffrey standards, low.
Yeah. I honestly don't know who to pick. So we got Matthew saying Chiefs, so we got 49ers. Like, it's so hard because, like you said, I think the 49ers are the better team. And like you said, you said Kittle, in the regular season has been better, but, Kelce in these playoffs has been, like, outstanding. He's been dominant in every game with Taylor Swift watching. I think, it's honestly a coin flip, but in me and Matthew, for us, this is worst case scenario Super Bowl, because we do not want the Chiefs to win, and we do not want the 49ers to win, because it's a lose-lose. You and Andrew will not shut up about Brock Purdy and the 49ers if they win, and if they don't, it's just like the Empire win. It's like Darth Vader and the Empire won with the Chiefs. So you know what?
Did we just lose?
Did we just lose? We already lost. There's no situation here where you come out on top, like Iron Man and the Avengers. I'll pick the 49ers. I think oh my god, it's just saying Brock Purdy
this guy's backing up.
Just saying Brock Purdy is going to top Mahomes, but he doesn't need to. That's the thing. He does not need to top Mahomes.
He doesn't need to top Mahomes. If the Niners' defense, which has been lackluster the past 2 weeks.
The Chiefs' defense is great.
Yeah, if they can even just kind of shut down Mahomes, the Niners will win this game. If Mahomes has a Mahomes-like game that he's done in the playoffs already, and that he's done in his career in the playoffs, and terrorize the Niners' defense somehow, then I think just the experience and the pressure, Mahomes can win the game. If the Niners defense, which, like I said, all this momentum, 2 weeks to plan, if they can shut down this, godlike human, right? If they can shut him down to just a certain degree, I think they can easily win this game. They should easily win this game.
The Chiefs lost to the Bucks, and Mahomes had Tyreek Hill and a better Kelce at the time. And I think the 49ers have a better roster than that year's Bucks. Obviously, Brady's not there. But, that Bucks team was stacked. Let's not lie. The defense was great. They had two great wide receivers and obviously the GOAT. But I just think that the 49ers have more weapons to choose from, and Brock Purdy is able to make some great plays. So I'm going with the 49ers. So we have 2 49ers and 1 Chiefs. I think we've talked enough about the NFL for today. At least those games.
Cover it all. I mean, we can quickly cover the Pro Bowl here.
Yeah, if you want to.
I found this absolutely hilarious.
And then we'll transition to WWE, cover the Rumble.
You know, the final Pro Bowl rosters. I don't know if you guys saw them, but a lot of quarterbacks either opted out from the Pro Bowl, right? Or, obviously, Purdy and Mahomes were in the Super Bowl now. And the final Pro Bowl rosters and the quarterbacks in the Pro Bowl roster will be Gardner Minshew on the AFC with CJ Stroud and Tua, right? And on the NFC, Geno Smith somehow gets in with Jalen Hurts and Baker Mayfield.
That was
the only quarterback here that originally made the roster was Tua. The rest of them were just ads, right?
So who? I mean, Josh Allen opted out.
Yeah, Josh Allen opted out. Dak obviously opted out.
Trevor Lawrence, was he even in there? No, he was not in there, was he?
I don't think he was even put in, to be honest with you.
Actually, wait, hold on. I forgot about Trevor Lawrence. I would take Trevor Lawrence over Purdy.
I would not take Trevor Lawrence over Purdy. I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Really? I think
no chance.
No chance.
I'm not even listening to an argument. No chance.
What happened?
I think it's ridiculous.
I like
Trevor Lawrence is so overrated. Not to mention he just doesn't win. Like he didn't make the playoffs this year. He blew like a 9-3 record.
He had injuries. Okay, like he had injuries this season.
I don't care. Trevor Lawrence is overrated, and I'm sick and tired of it.
But
he's a mid-level quarterback. This dream that he's gonna be the star is never gonna happen.
You know what?
Say that now.
You've convinced me. But
this might age.
Oh, it was really easy.
Yeah, I was thinking
this might age like Swiss cheese, but he's never gonna become that star that everyone thinks he's gonna be. Well, we'll see what happens in 3 years when we go back to this podcast.
I mean, you're saying he doesn't. I mean, okay, they had we saw signs this season. They had a great first half, and I've never seen a team collapse that hard. But he did have a lot of injuries. But I mean, when you look at a fantasy perspective, I mean, obviously that's stats, so. He was not stat-wise good. He was basically a game manager. He had Etienne there. He had great wide receivers, pretty good O-line. So I take back what I said. But you know what? I don't think it's ridiculous to say that still, and we'll see next season when we come back to that.
Before their bye, I mean, they were playing really good, and he was putting up decent fantasy numbers.
It's also key to mention that Trevor Lawrence had a crazy comeback last postseason against the Chargers, right? So he has an impressive win in his belt, and he's won a playoff game. But I mean, I just think that there's a lot of problems.
And the Jaguars are nowhere near the level of talent the 49ers have. So
it's not to say they're not talented with Christian.
They are talented.
Travis Etienne and Evan Ingram. Let's relax, right? I mean, they're a pretty deep roster.
Yeah, but anyways, so that Pro Bowl lineup is atrocious. It's not. There's no.
We're not even gonna cover the rest of the roster with the running backs and receivers. We're not even doing that.
The quarterback.
We're not wasting our talent.
Well, I remember a couple years ago when freaking Huntley got in, right? Backup quarterback.
That was last year. That was
last year. Holy shit!
So many guys opted out, and he was like one of the highest voted guys.
Tyler Huntley, crazy. That was
Imagine someone at the beginning of the season told you that Gardner Minshew was going to be one of the quarterbacks in the Pro Bowl.
I mean, I would have laughed in your face.
I would have traded. I would have traded Anthony Richardson. That's what I would have done.
Enough of this nonsense.
It's true.
To what everyone came here to listen to.
Yeah.
The greatest sport and entertainment.
Yep.
WWE Royal Rumble.
Yes, sir.
What an absolute god-awful event.
Whoa!
Say that now.
Whoa. Hold on.
God-awful event.
What?
That's great.
It was a travesty. Yeah. It was a travesty.
You just pulling out big words here.
I see a lot of people saying that it was a bad show. And I can understand.
A lot of people saying it was
bad. And they're right.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are saying that it was great.
I have some of my class
because they're WWE meat riders, bro.
Yeah, I mean, people are saying it's better than last year. I heavily disagree. I think last year had better moments, better returns, better surprises.
Rumors in pro wrestling are always do such a disservice to shows like this. Like, The Rock and MJF were rumored to make an appearance at this show. Those are two of some very popular
S tier
wrestlers, obviously.
S tier guys right now, yeah.
Yeah, and that probably had a lot of people watching, expecting to see them, and they didn't show up. That's why a lot of people think it's bad. A lot of these casuals.
Okay, well, hold on.
All right, let's go through this quickly, okay?
Yeah.
Obviously, United States Championship, Logan Paul. I mean, the fact that Logan Paul's in the WWE is hilarious still.
He's
I
doing a
can't
good
even
job,
look at
though.
him
You can't
and
hate.
He's pretty
he is
good.
phenomenal. He's very good. He's a natural.
The reason last year's Royal Rumble was so good was heavily due to him. His stunts with all the highlights.
Yeah.
He was only in there for like 2 minutes, and he took up all the entire highlights of the thing. But yeah, he beats Kevin Owens. An absolute slick win too.
That ref needs to be fined.
Yeah, ref with the MVP.
I mean, like that's pretty much expected that he was gonna win. I don't think they would take the title off him that quick. What's most likely is gonna happen? He's gonna go into WrestleMania with the title and then fight LA Knight and then lose at WrestleMania. Yeah. I think that's what's gonna happen.
That's a great. That's a great storyline.
Yeah, and the biggest, I mean, obviously CM Punk coming back, huge, really exciting, and what a travesty that is. He tore his pec, right? Is that what it was?
No, he tore it. So he took a I forgot what the move's called. He took a move from Drew McIntyre that wasn't even targeted to his arm and tore his triceps.
Yeah, Drew.
And then roll of the ring.
Something.
He tore his triceps, and then he finishes the match. He looked, obviously he had a torn tricep, but he didn't look that good. He wasn't in the ring for that long.
He looked
out of shape. Yeah, he looked tubby. And it was kind of worrying. I was like, originally I wanted CM Punk to win, but after seeing his performance, like halfway through, I was like, I don't want.
I was like, Cody deserves this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, Cody deserves this one, not CM Punk.
And I was worried that Gunther was gonna win because he was in there for a pretty long time and he was rumored to win, but I'm glad he didn't win. But obviously, Cody Rhodes comes out on top.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think the setup of Seth. I mean, now Seth is challenging Cody, so originally I think it was pretty clear CM Punk would fight Seth at WrestleMania and Roman would fight Cody. But now with Punk out, it's interesting. Now you got Cody is trying to decide who to fight between Seth and Roman. If he chose Seth, like Matthew were talking about, that would leave the door wide open for The Rock and Roman Reigns to fight.
Yeah,
and I can see them doing
what's
that.
What's gonna happen? Yeah, what's gonna happen with The Rock? I mean, he comes out, he calls him out, and we haven't seen anything about it or heard anything about it since then.
Yeah, I mean, CM Punk getting injured is just like a huge blow to their plans, I assume. Originally, 100% CM Punk was gonna fight Seth Rollins, and so Cody Rhodes fights Roman Reigns. But now that CM Punk is just not in the picture anymore, I can see them doing like a Seth Cody rivalry. And The Rock coming back and fighting Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Do I want that to happen? No, absolutely not. I don't think.
Yeah, like The Rock.
I think Cody deserves another main event with Roman Reigns and winning.
Yeah, because that was bullshit last year when he won, and I was pissed when WrestleMania ended last year and Roman came out on top.
Still keeps him up at night.
Keeps him up at night. Wake up in a cold sweat.
It does,
but the only thing that could redeem it would be if they prove that they had like long-term storytelling in mind and come back this WrestleMania and Cody gets his revenge, takes the title, and then sets Roman on like a little arc there, right? A little more of a villain arc. Maybe he'll go double down or something. I don't know. But I want to see Cody complete the story. And yeah, so I think that's
I hope so.
Pretty much all we got to talk about for WWE. We'll keep up to date. There's some crazy Vince McMahon good stuff going on, but
we won't talk about that
yet.
Yeah.
But
too soon.
We'll see what comes out on that. But it doesn't look good for Vince or even Brock Lesnar. But I think we're close to wrapping up here. But I just wanted to touch on we're Toronto-based, around the Toronto area. So we're Jays fans, and we just want to report about Vladdy Guerrero Jr. Becoming the cover of MLB The Show 24, and that's pretty exciting. Did not expect that.
Yeah. I was not expecting that either.
We love to see our Dominican hero.
Yeah, our Dominican Canadian hero. He that is surprising because I half thought it'd be if it was a Dodgers player, I would have lost my shit.
They could have just put the entire Dodgers roster on the cover.
Yeah, I said it could have been the GM deserved to be the roster. The Dodgers GM deserved to be on the cover of MLB this year. Or John Morosi.
Honestly.
Put John Morosi on the cover.
Put the Dodgers GM and John Morosi on the cover.
It's just shaking hands.
And then obviously the big signing. I don't want to say big signing. I don't.
Biggest signing of the offseason.
Biggest signing in the offseason, yeah. Justin Turner coming to the Blue Jays. It's making it more abundantly clear that Chapman's gone.
Yeah. We got third base bat.
Our savior.
Yeah, he's going to replace Chapman. I know Matthew touched on it before we started the podcast that he was better offensively than Chapman actually last year, but we all know defensively he's not even nearly on the same level.
And he's 39 years old, pushing 40.
He's a one-year contract.
What impact is he really going to have on this team?
Yeah, the age is a big concern.
Well, he's a one-year contract, so it's not really a concern for this season.
The only hope Blue Jays and the Blue Jays fans have is that Vladdy and Bo, smarten up and just carry the team. That's all we can really hope for.
The front office and the coaching
and Danny and Springer, obviously.
Yeah, and I think Vladdy needs to live up. Now he's got that not pressure, but it's just. More eyes.
No, he does have pressure.
Yeah, more eyes will be on him.
Him and Bo have a lot of pressure.
I know, I'm just talking about as a result of the game cover. It doesn't mean anything, but I'm just saying. I think more eyes might be on him now because of that. Yeah, it's really cool to see. But I hope he lives up to that because, when it comes to Madden, NHL, NBA, usually they have a top 15 player. Vladdy is barely in the top 20, right? He's right on the edge of top 20 right now, in his career, but. I don't think MLB operates the same way. Last year's guy, I forget his name, Miami player, Marlins player, he's worse than Vladdy to my knowledge. So.
Yeah, I haven't heard of him since then.
I forget his name. I think it's something else Junior. I can't remember his name, but yeah, I don't know.
Not Tatis.
What? Not Tatis. No.
Not Tatis.
No. They went back for Tatis.
Are we gonna get the MLB The Show cover curse? That's what I'm scared about. It's already looking bad for the.
We're already yeah. So this will go down as far as I'm concerned. I've never experienced this kind of an off season with a team before, where me and Matthew we're roommates currently, and we spent an entire Friday just tracking Ohtani's playing that fateful day because of John Rosie's reports, and then since then the amount of emotions I felt this team went through depression, 5 stages of grief. And now it's just become numbness. These signings don't mean anything. It's brutal out here as a Jays fan, but we all got tickets to see one of the home opening games, so we'll be there and to experience the pain firsthand.
I also want to try to go. Live podcast.
Yeah, live
on
podcast.
The Go Train.
On the Go Train. I'll take the Go Train
on the Toronto Ghost train.
Yeah, you can hear us sadness in real life.
I want to go to a Dodgers game this season just to
boo Ohtani.
Just to absolutely Ohtani won't even play. He actually won't even play. He's a pansy. He's a dirty liar.
He is.
Anyways, I think we're reaching the 15-minute mark. Officially, our record for longest podcast.
We did it, guys. Let's go.
Boys.
We did it.
I do want to cover that there is no big games this weekend in the NFL. Obviously, other than we're not covering the Pro Bowl.
Let's talk about next week.
No chance. Yeah. So other than that, we'll see what's going on.
We're talk some basketball next week.
Yeah, NBA might get in the spotlight. NHL maybe we could touch into that. And I'm assuming there's gonna be some more MLB stuff next week, some news, and then
we'll cover some.
I'm sure there'll be lots of news.
Maybe some more Vince.
Any other big
news.
maybe the Vince news.
We can cover.
Maybe we'll talk some NFL, Super Bowl bets.
Yeah. Will Taylor Swift get proposed to? Is the big one everyone's wondering.
That's the question everyone's wondering.
We're not gonna spoil our picks, but we'll cover those next week.
And we've discussed that we want to have some fun with this podcast and have different segments of games and stuff, doing mock drafts for fantasy, talk about movies as well, sports movies, sports shows, covering that, stuff like that. So maybe on a down week like next week we can plan something.
And if everybody has suggestions,
if you guys
down in the comments.
If you guys made it to the end of this record breaking length of the podcast, then comment your suggestions down below. I know Coach Jeremy, our biggest fan, might have left some suggestions, but so I think we're going to wrap episode 2 in the Locker Room Lingo podcast. We're your hosts, Dylan, Matthew, and Luca, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
See ya.